coming to you from the garage again, and today we're going to work on the ZR1. So I bought the ZR1 and drove it down from Pennsylvania all the way down here to West Palm Beach, and I haven't really done much to it except a tune and a pulley. Now it's due for an oil change, which is not easy based on the the ride height of the Corvette, and it's also due for a spark plug change, not because, well, let's just say the other day I did a pull and it felt like it was having this kind of wave of power, like a and I was like, what's that? Now I did raise the boost by close to 3 psi, so I thought this is probably a good time to change the spark plugs and make sure that everything is doing well. Now this isn't a how-to video. This is more of like, what am I gonna find in there? I'm gonna pull the plugs, replace them with, I talked to Rami Zaidan. He owns a ZR1 that makes like 900, almost 1,000. They think it makes almost 1,000 rear wheel horsepower, but his is like hopped up. It has, beefed up bottom end and such. Which plugs are the ones that I'm looking for? Could be these guys. BR7EF. I think it's these. I have 2 sets of plugs. One for the GT500 and another set for the Corvette. So let me see which one is which. I do have a mess here, so these are for the GT500. 3346 BR7EF. And these are 3346 BR7EF. I don't think they take the same spark plug. So why do I have 2 sets of 3346 BR7EFs? I have no idea why I have 2 of the same spark plug. And we'll do some research. We'll see what plug goes where. Well, only one way to find out. I'm confused because I have 2 sets of them. That's why I'm confused. I'm like, why do I have a BR7EF and another BR7EF, both with the same part number? So not sure. So I got to figure out why I have 2 of those. But instead of wondering, I'll just go ahead and pull what's in there and compare it to what I got and see if that's the correct spark plug. So I'm gonna pull one out just to see what I'm working with, because I have no idea. So I got a couple of sets of BR7EFs here, and I'm like, why do I have 2 sets of this shit? It has bone stock spark plugs. It's got AC Delco 1257116. Someone obviously juiced them up pretty good. So I'm gonna compare it to a NGK BR7EF. I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I have 16 BR7EFs, and I remember I bought some plugs. Oh, it looks like it's the same plug. So yeah. So just making sure that I have the right thing. But look at how high this guy sticks out. So yeah, there's definitely some. I'm gonna do some research on everything because it has a pretty crazy projected tip here. And I want to make sure that I got the proper plug. So well, according to Rami Zaidan, they are the right part, but which was crazy because I think they share a common part number with my Shelby GT500 Ford Mustang. So all right, let's get the gap checked. Look at the gap on this guy. So yeah, I'm good. This thing's making about 12-13 psi. I'll gap these down to about 30. Let's say 30. I gotta check this gap. Let me check this gap and see what it is compared to this guy. Let's do it live. Okay, this is the second plug. I don't know what cylinder exactly it is, but it's driver's side front. Just visually inspecting, making sure all looks pretty kosher, make sure there's not like a shitload of oil. So I'll do this for every plug just for documentation's sake, and put a new plug in there and then see how it runs after a new set of plugs. jacked up. I'm gonna go ahead and where is it? Oh, I gotta undo the lid for the sump tank. So when changing the oil, oh look at that, this guy was disconnected. I wonder if that was causing any vacuum leaks. I'm sure there were. Interesting. You know what? I should have checked that, but we'll see. Definitely there was a vacuum leak of some sorts. So they say to remove this so that when you drain the oil, there's no vacuum effect. And I'm going to get under the car, and according to everything I know, I've read, it's that two plugs, this one in the front and this one in the side, on the side, have to be taken off. Obviously the filter is right there. Stand this guy up. Filter's right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out, and then I'm not gonna remove the lines because there's some lines over there for oil feed. They tell me just to raise them up while the oil is draining to get whatever is in the line. Just kind of raise them up and shake them around to get any oil out of them. You're not gonna get it all out, but you'll get most of it out. So let me go ahead and do that. While I was down here, I wanted to kind of show you guys some of the features of the cooling on the brakes for this ZR1. I was down here and I saw, what the hell is this big intake here? And obviously it's on both sides. So when you look at this intake and you follow it back, it leads directly to ducting that cools the brake like directly right there. So it's like a little ram air effect right on the brakes. I thought that was kind of cool to show that this thing, you know, definitely has a lot of priorities on cooling, especially on the brakes. This is the ducting right here. So pretty neat stuff. Everything underneath though looks pretty straightforward. I thought I was always scraping the bottom of this lip here. This is a very expensive carbon fiber, but I'm not scraping this. What I'm scraping is this. This sits slightly lower. It's like a skirt. And luckily it's not causing any damage. Okay, so time to get it down, put some oil in her, turn it on, wait a little bit, and then check the oil level, and hopefully everything is all right. In case you guys were wondering how I'm lifting this Corvette, well, these things have these pucks that come and go in on a slot under the body. So if you look underneath here, this little puck, twist, and it comes off, so it goes into this little groove where you stick it in there, right? Twist it, it doesn't come off. Lift from there. I got 4 of them from Daniel, good guy. So I was able to use those two when it comes to lifting up on the Corvette. Put them right back where they belong. Okay, let's get the Corvette down and get some oil in her. Okay, they tell you to put 10 quarts in. So again, what I did was I got regular mobile. I wasn't gonna get fancy. So I got mobile 530, which is what the factory spec calls out for. Again, if I have to change it in the future, if you guys think I'm crazy and I gotta get something else, well, I'll talk to the experts. But for now, the experts say use the stuff that I recommend. So 10 quarts or 2 5-quart containers from anywhere. I got this from Advanced Auto. It's at least a $70 or $80 oil change. It's not cheap, you know. But there is a certain way of checking the oil on this thing because it's dry sump. And I went over it in another video, but I'll go over it again on this one in case anybody wants to reference this video for oil changes on their ZR1 in the future. I've found myself referencing a lot of ZR1 content on YouTube, and this guy right here, forget his name, but if the thumbnail says how to change your oil in your ZR1, I referenced him. It has a badass cammed ZR1. Let me see what his channel is. TWA Motorsports. So it says TWA Motorsports on there. So yeah, that guy does a really good job of referencing what's what. Has a nice ZR1 chopping up nicely. So I referenced that video, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It told me how many quarts, check procedure, which plugs, torque specs, everything, and it worked out really nice. So now let's start her up. Do the procedure for checking the oil level on these. It's a little bit of a different procedure. Check the level. I have an extra quart just in case I need more, and we'll see where it's at. Okay, let's make sure that I don't have a massive puddle underneath here. Good, very good, no puddle. So the procedure is as follows. Turn the car on, get the oil temperature to at least 175 degrees, then shut it off. Wait at least 5 minutes, but not more than 20 to check the oil. And then that will give you the most accurate reading possible, according to everything I've been reading. Easy, easy. So, get my ass in here, or my keys in here? Oh, I don't know. Okay, so I think in the options here, I might be able to see, I know the hatch is ajar. I'm not sure if I can see oil temperature, but let's look up some information. Trip, fuel range. Okay, so that's fuel. Well, let's talk about this, tire pressure. Oh, oil temperature. So, oil temperature to at least 175. Shut it off. Wait at least 5 minutes, but not more than 20. Then we'll check the oil. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get this guy in here. Actually, I'm gonna just back it up a little bit, get it off the wood. Hey-o. And once it reaches 175, there we go, we're off the wood. Beautiful. Once we reach 175, we'll check the oil and we'll report back then. Okay, got up to 176. Wait 5 minutes, and let's say 7 minutes, and then we'll check it. What time is it right now? It is 11:42, so get back at it at 11:50, check the oil level, and we should be done, and we'll get you a 60 to 130 hit with Sunoco 260 GT in the tank. Okay, so in order for me to gather as much data as possible based on what's happening with the Corvette, I had to get with HP Tuner's software and data log the vehicle properly. Couple of things had to happen before that. First of all, I needed a layout. A layout is this, basically all these parameters that you want to see, and I got a shitload of them. A bunch of parameters. A lot of them are grayed out, and the grayed out ones are transmission related. Like if you have trans clutch control, trans torque converter control. Obviously this is a stick, so none of that matters. But I got this from Justin White through Rami Zaidan. Justin White was nice enough to let Rami send me a layout so I can start recording. So what I'm going to do is see what's happening in terms of short-term fuel trims, long-term fuel trims. Everything seems to be within 4%. So you take the long and the short and you know, add them. And if you're within 5%, if you're within 5%, life is generally pretty good. Sorry about the glare, but that's typically where we're at. So looking good there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make some hits and 60 to 130 and see what it says data wise. I'm going to be able to play it back and everything. I have HP tuners loaded on this laptop. This is my personal laptop that I use for live streaming. So for those of you that didn't know, I use an HP and it is touchscreen, so I'm able to just tippity tap everywhere. But I'm going to gather some data, which I haven't done on this Corvette in a while, and I'm going to just make sure everything is happy and kosher. and everything's moving properly, let it populate all the cells, let it do its thing. We'll see how far my tune is, we'll see what it needs, we'll see what it sees for spark. After doing some 60 to 130 and then maybe a dig run, hopefully the laptop doesn't go flying, and we'll be able to gather some data. But for now, let's go out there, let's populate all these cells, let's make sure this thing is super happy, and make sure that nothing needs tweaked in the tube. Okay, just did a 60 to 130 at 7.5. Not impressive, in my opinion. It did 6.8, but it was 30 degrees cooler. Today is over 80 degrees, so of course, performance is gonna drop, especially on a supercharged vehicle because the air is not so dense. I was hoping to basically mimic what happened before, but I'm sure the density of the air being way more when the issue happened, you know, will affect what happened. So I'm not really seeing a difference one way or the other with or without plugs. I am seeing a difference where it's almost 0.3 slower than it was when I put the plugs in it. But we'll do some more testing just to make sure it's happy. But this is the watt log right here. If you look at pedal, this is pretty much slammed, and you look at pedal throttle percentage right here, 80. I kept pointing at it. So 83, which is like throttle angle, I would think, not throttle percent in terms of 100% throttle, but Excel pedal is slammed to the floor. So timing up here, this nice little graph up here tells you where your timing is at what point. So if you scroll across the run, it sees where your timing was across those runs. So, you know, everything looks to be right where I'm commanding it, about 22 degrees with Sunoco 260 GT. Boost right here, boost shows up and it peaks at about 13 on the shift. Right there. So at about 13 pounds of boost, we're seeing 111 IAT2. We're seeing, according to this, calculating 647 pound-feet of torque. Injector duty cycle 79%. Not sure what that reference is, but again, what I'll do is the smart thing. Send this log to someone who knows what the hell they're looking at. But based on my limited knowledge of LS stuff and then good knowledge of just data logs in general, everything seems to be okay. Belt slip isn't an issue. Timing isn't an issue. Knock sensors are happy as hell and did not remove any timing throughout the pull. IATs do get up to 122, so eventually this thing will need some cooling help, because the higher IATs are, the less the car performs, and it's seeing almost 140 IAT, so this thing needs either meth or a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's having similar issues as it did before. It's seeing great boost. It's seeing, wow, did it really see almost 14 PSI? Geez, at 6,600 RPM, it's almost 14 PSI. So that means boosts, IAT2s are gonna be high. So that means eventually we're gonna have to remedy that issue. So I wanted to get a final, ending to the video so that we can go ahead and get you, an ending to what the spark plugs did, some proper data. So I'll send this off to probably Justin White. I'll communicate with him. I'll see if he has a ticket system, and I'll see if I have to pay something and say, hey, these are my mods. This is your layout. You let me know where you think I should head with this situation. If he thinks there's room to be gained, if he can steer me in the right direction, or if he wants to tune it, I'm more than happy to get some help, because I'm not ego driven that way. I definitely can let someone else take the reins, but eventually I want to be able to tune this car at the track on my own and go from there. So let's do some more testing, some more 60 to 130, maybe a dig run, a quarter-mile dig. I don't think this will hook on first and second at all, so we'll see if we can get 1150 out of it on the street, get some data on that, and then we can wrap up the video. You guys would be interested to see how this thing plots the timing. So this is live. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off at first normal, and you'll see the timing jump around, and that literally is mimicking your timing table, and it's seeing what, it's showing you what it's seeing in real time. Obviously you want to try to fill out as much as the table as possible, but the hardest part is the high load, low RPM. So all you can do is kind of hit the brake and and lug it down that way. Just thought it'd be interesting for you guys to look at. Let's try a dig run. foot help like you read about. Well, I'm quickly finding out why Fords are just super tune friendly. After changing the plugs, again guys, zero changes. I did put oil in it. I did its oil change and spark plugs, and none of the wires are touching anywhere. I gapped the plugs to 30 thousandths. The stock plugs were gapped at 40 thousandths. So I thought 13 pounds of boost, 9 to 5 compression motor, you know, it should be okay. Now the car is almost a second slower. So I'm like, it's seeing 22 degrees. IATs are about 120. Fueling was dialed in on the dyno. I've been driving it for months on the same tune. Been 6.8, and even in hot weather, 7.0. And now with a plug change, just a plug change, it's 0.8 slower. So I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to buy a $300 wideband, put it in this thing, check what's going on, revert to the old plugs to see if that wakes it right up. Because if I go back to the stock plugs with the stock gap and it magically comes back power wise, then it's a plug issue. But really, like, and a colder NGK plug got the 30 thousandths at 13 psi, it doesn't make sense. But that's why Coyote Mustangs are super tune friendly. So whatever, I'll just work with it. It hasn't been a good week. The Mustang notch has been a problem. When I try to improve on this thing, it's been a problem, but it's part of the process, I guess. Not a fun process, but it's part of the process. So I'm gonna go ahead, swap the plugs back in, the stock ass plugs with the stock ass gap, and data log it and see if that does anything. But I definitely have to get a wideband in this thing, which I'm not a fan of doing right now, because theoretically it dialed in on the dyno. Like, I dialed this in on the dyno, but who knows if Chevys act different once there's a load on it. So I'll end it there, because in order to swap plugs, put widebands in and stuff, that's a whole nother video, and I don't want to give you guys 45 to an hour minute videos so that 3,000 of you can watch it. All right guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna figure out what's going on with this plug situation. How can I change spark plugs and this thing be 0.8 slower? Who the hell knows, but it is a Chevy. All right guys, thanks for listening. Talk to you later.